Hi, welcome to making it in Solidworks. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to do some advanced sheet metal. So this is what we're going to aim at. I'm going to go across to a new configuration. And I'm going to just follow on from one of my shorts in creating on the top plane a set of sketches from which I can then make an angled plane. You don't have to do it this way, by the way, but this is just to show you how it would be done in practice. So I'm creating two midpoint lines, dragging them out, exiting that, and I'm just going to show the top plane, and that should be enough. All right. So how to get an angled plane out of this is to select first the line, which is going to be used as an axis, and then the plane, and then to go to features, reference geometry plane, and you'll see that it has placed the plane coincident with the line. There's the sketch, right, and there's coincident, and then there's the top plane, and it's placed it perpendicular. I want to establish some sort of angle, so I'm going to put in here 30 degrees. Maybe we'll make it a little bit less, like that. Right. And then I'm going to draw on this plane. So the sheet metal that I showed you in class, it's all pretty basic. I'm not going to go through all of it again. We're going to use the more common way of establishing a sheet metal part and just creating a sketch on a plane. All right. So here's my sketch. Let's grab that like that as a starting point, and maybe do a bit of dynamic drawing. Something like that. And then just dimension. So I haven't actually figured out whether these dimensions make sense or not. So please don't copy them uncritically. I'm just doing what looks maybe okay. And this one here. All right. So that's the basics. And from here, I'm going to hide this for now. Just that one. Just to make it easier to see what's happening. Okay, so in your context menu, you can use the base flange, or you can go across to sheet metal base flange. And I've got it at 1.2. I'm going to leave it at that. All the rest as it should be. And say, okay. All right, so now the part that I want to show you, which is quite sophisticated, if you will, or at least a little bit more advanced than what you would normally experience, is if I go back to this config 2, is how to get these feet to extend as they are, and also how to chop them off so that they are flat with the top plane, or at least parallel with the top plane. I'll show you why that might be a little bit of a difficulty in a moment. So normally you would select your two edges. They don't have to be the bottom edges, by the way. They could be the top ones. It depends on what your goals are. And then we can right click and go to edge flange and drag these out. All right. I'm dragging them out quite far. And then I can change the angle, so I could make this, let's say 40, and see what happens. Might be a little bit too steep, something like that. Here it's not important exactly what it is at the moment. Just open it up a bit. I'm opening it up because it has related problems. And I could leave this as it is, okay? And I could now draw on this item here and then cut away bits that I wanted to. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is when you're doing this, you'll see that you have this edit flange profile button selected. Make sure that you select the first edge and not the second one, or it doesn't, actually in this case, it doesn't really matter. But we can go to Edit Flange Profile, and you'll get this profile sketch message. And then you can go normal to, hit the escape button, and then we can actually alter this inside. So I can drag that out. I could drag this out as well. I'm going to leave that as it is. And then I can get rid of, say, relations like that one and that one. And I can put in some dimensions, so I can actually grab from there to there, so that I can, okay, I'm going to say leave it driving. I can see why that's connected there, so it's fine. I can just go into that relationship and get rid of it. And now I can use this to drive that dimension. All right, and then I can drag this out. And here I want to make sure that this line here is beyond, well, that it's quite far out so that I can chop it off later. So I can see that that one there hasn't been established. Let's just get those two to connect. They don't seem to want to. You should be able to drag this across and just let it connect like that. This has obviously got a relationship, and I want to be able to control these angles. So I'm going to put in a dimension here, an angle of, it's an 80 for now. And 70. Okay, so far so good. You can say finish. What it's going to do, as you'll see now, is it's only altered one sketch. That's because we don't have these at 90 degree, and that the sketch on this one can't copy that one. If they were at 90 degrees, I could go, listen, this is the second way of doing this. I could go to my actual feature, and that's the first sketch and that's the second sketch. I could select the second sketch, right, go normal to, and if these two were 90 degrees to one another, one would echo the other, and I could just select these lines here. Let's get rid of this one. And I could grab the edge. I could convert the entities, okay? But as you can see, in this case, that's not going to work because of the way the geometry is working. But that's how you would do it if they were parallel to one another, which they aren't at the moment. So I'm left with this item as it is. I'm not going to change it because it's a bit of a waste of time. What I could do is I could go into this sketch here. I could select it all, control copy, right? I could go back into the sketch, and then I could just delete these three lines, control V, and now I've got a copy of that one. I could move this onto this plane, and I'd have to switch it around, as you'll see, if I just put in a line like this, and it's just mirror. It's mirrored by and copied. Okay, so I'd have to do that, and then I'd have to move that over to this piece here. I'd have to get rid of this. I'd have to make that line line up with this line here, like that. I think that's done it. And then I'd have to drag this across and put my dimensions back in. All right, so you get the general picture. That's a fair bit of work. There's a much easier way. I'm going to show you how to do that, but just to get you used to the idea. Right, so there it is. You can see it's pretty much copied that. That's the successful version. We don't have to do any of that. We can just delete the second leg. So go back to your feature and just deselect edge 2. So we've only got one, and then we're going to mirror it afterwards. Now, here's the part that's going to be a little bit tricky. How do I get that edge there to line up? Where am I? That edge there. one of these edges to line up with this piece here, or at least to a plane that's parallel to this. I can't get that to line up exactly because that would chop it off too much. So let's put in let's just go control, hold the control button down and drag so that I have a second plane a certain distance. Let's make it about 7 or so from the first one. Okay, so that's going to be the plane that I want to chop this leg off. But if I go to the front view, well, let's see if I can find the front view. In fact, let's switch on. There it is. Okay, so if I go to that view, I can't simply chop the leg off because sheet metal doesn't work that way. You can't have an angle. That's got to have a perpendicular edge to it. All right, as you can see here, there's a perpendicular edge. So what I can't, and it's difficult to control in the sketch. I'd have to, if I went into the sketch, I'd have to go and have a look like this, normal to, and I'd have to find some way. I'd have to actually go to the right plane or the front plane. It's the right plane. I'd have to go to normal to that, and then I'd have to try and align that with the plane by eyeballing it. Much easier way. What you do is you go to a plane which is perpendicular to the sort of line that you want to project onto this one. We're going to do a project line. So that's the front plane. I'm going to sketch on that. And I'm just going to line this line up. I'm going to let it be collinear with that one. And it's just a straight line. You can put in dimensions if you want, but it's gone black, so that's good enough. All right, so now we're going to use that line and we're going to project. So we're going to go to features and we're going to curves and we're going to, and we're going to say project curve. And am I doing this right? No. What we want to do is we want to split. We actually, sorry, I'll have to shortcut this. You could project it, you could try to do splitting. A much easier way to do this is just to go to your extruded cut, but I think you might have to go to the sheet metal version. Or maybe, no, I think they're the same thing. All right, so I'm going to use that one there. You can see that it's got two arrows here. It's got a left arrow. In other words, it's going to cut this side, and I actually want it to go the other way. So let's just drag it. If it won't drag, we might have to say through all both. There we go. Okay, so it's indicating what it's going to chop off as far as left and right, and then you need to swap the flip cut so that it's chopping the bottom off, not the top. All right. Now, here's the most important thing. You must make sure that this optimize geometry button is clicked. Otherwise, it's not going to do the right thing. So let's chop that off. Disconnect that. See what happens. Oh, it actually has done it. All right. So maybe it's the other way around. Let's just make sure about that. Optimize geometry. Okay. So it doesn't really matter because Solidworks figures that this is a sheet metal part. It's going to just make it stay a sheet metal part and get that edge to be perpendicular. All right, well, I learned something there as well. Okay, so that's pretty much how you do this. That's pretty simple. What I can do from here is if I want, let's say I want that, I can use this plane to now drag this down. Let's make that 15 or something and then update it. So that's just altering what I've got. Okay. Now I'm going to just mirror this. So let's go to our mirror command. In fact, I could actually choose, I think I've got to choose the part first and then the plane, which is the front plane. And then just say mirror and it'll do it for me straight away. Okay. So there we go. Right. So anything I change on this side will be changed on the other. So let's say that was 15 instead, and that was 80 instead. let's make this 110. So it does that sort of thing. There we go. Okay, you see I got a little bit of a problem in that what's been chopped off now isn't appropriate. Go back to 20. So what I might have to do is just go back to this edge flange, to that sketch, and drag this out as far as we need it. Okay, and then that cut extrude you might have to redo. Let's just see if that's doing it. So you see the problem here is that I didn't draw the line long enough. So I just go back to that line and drag this out. There we go. All right, and then the mirror hasn't worked either, so it might need just to be updated. Let's have a look at the sequence here. The mirror is after the cut extrude, so that should actually work. Let's just grab that. Okay. I think it might be that I've only got the edge flange, and what I might need is to get the cut extrude as well. Or maybe it's just the cut extrude. Let's try that. It's not. You need them both. So I'm going to edit the feature and go back to that button and then just select the edge flange as well. All right, so the mirror command, you've got to make sure that both of the features that you want included are inside. Right, so far so good. Let's have a quick look at what else we can do. I don't know if there is much else I need to show you here. Maybe, yeah, I think there is. So edge flange, I'm just going to drag this out. This, once again, also once you do like this sort of thing, you don't have to have two edge flanges. You can actually say edit edge flange. This profile sketch message will always appear. You can just ignore it for now and just go normal 2, hit the escape button, get this out of the way. Oh, I'm just going to hop out for a sec and switch something on. Right, so I've just put my little indicator on here so that you can see what buttons I'm using. And here again, I can play with what the shape looks like. So I can put some dimensions in. So I'm just going to delete these two vertical relations so that now I can pull this out. If I pull this out, it's not mirrored. So I'm going to need to put a center line in like that. And there we go. Right. So let's make that 55 and give it a height. So I'm doing this all within the Sheetmetal edge flange environment. Let's say finish. Okay, so it's all done. You can, of course, if you want to, you can just do it as a straightforward thing and then go into the actual feature, edit the sketch, and then edit it in exactly the same way. So you're not forced to do it within that environment. Let's put in these little wings on the back. I think we can just see if this works or not. So I'm going to edit this sketch. And get rid of some of these relationships. In fact, all of them. Relations, should I say, not relationships. Delete, I don't need those. And I want this and that to do something like that. So a little bit of dimensioning. Bear with me. And maybe a height. 31, 32. Right, so let's see if we can get that mirrored on this other sketch. So you can see that we've got two different sketches in here. There's the second sketch. If I edit that sketch and I go normal to, I can now see this other sketch, but I just need to be careful here. I can see that I'm not edge on to this. The geometry has actually altered this. If I go back to like that and I zoom in, you can see that these two don't line up. But if they did line up, if I was definitely tangent to or normal to this face, I would then be able to just grab these items here and convert them, and then I could delete these ones. But guaranteed at the moment, this is not going to work because these don't connect. You can see that that line there and that line there don't connect. So if I go out, you'll see it's giving me a big red warning. So let's go back in here. What I would need to do is then copy that other sketch and bring it across. So I'm going to, instead of doing that, I'm just going to get rid of those relations. And I'm just going to drag this one across to that edge. The sketch should go gray once it's, there we go, it's gone gray. So that means, so I'm not going to dimension it, I would normally, but just to show you how to do that. All right, so hopefully that gives you a little bit more grist to your mill. And then lastly, just to select these two, give them a radius fillet. 4, that's all right. There is one other thing I need to show you. Let's go back to this edge flange. And what I want you to notice is at the bottom here, you can see that this transition is not all that pretty. That's because I've chosen the material outside button. I could choose the material inside, but that's also not pretty. If I go to bend outside, that's a little bit smoother, okay? And then at the moment, it's got an offset on it. So offset, you've got this offset here, which you can increase or decrease, whatever you want to do. And you can set it to go up to a vertex or a surface or something like that. If I take it off, it gives me sometimes a slightly smoother transition, maybe not in this case. And then the other thing that you can see when you do this is you can see what happens if you use the custom relief type. So let's go to Obround. At the moment, it's not showing anything. If I put an offset in here of a negative amount, 0.5, it might not, it's not doing it at this point. Some side bends. All right, so if it was going to put it in here, you'd actually see that change appear. You'd actually see the relief feature being shown. Let's see if a rectangle will do it. No, it's not going to do it. Okay, I'm not sure why that is, but just so that you're aware that any changes that are going to happen, because the preview is on, you can actually see how it's going to work. All right. So there we go. I hope that gives you a few more tools by which you can do what you want to do. This obviously, things like angles can be adjusted on the fly. And, once you've got your dimensions, you can adjust those too. So all those good things that come with fully dimensioning your item. I hope you have fun. Thanks for watching.